Yeah, it's always really weird with New Jersey.
Oh,
Yeah.
I'm shocked Ryan hasn't brought up The Sopranos yet, since you're from New
Okay, well,
Jersey.
I was gonna say, hold on. She said she went to Rutgers. That was James Gandolfini's alma mater. So,
Oh my god.
yeah.
They put it in all the flyers. They're like, "Come
Dude.
here, we have James Gandolfini."
Well, used to.
No, his ashes are in
his
the
ashes.
rose bed.
Yeah.
Ryan's always like, if he hears that somebody's from like anywhere east of Illinois, he's just like, "Have you been to the Pine Barrens, dude? You've heard of the Pine Barrens?"
All right, welcome back to another episode of another Bourbon Show. First thing we have to do is we have to introduce our guest. We are joined by one. This is the third female we've ever had on the show, and two of them were on at the same time. So this is a big deal for us, Kelly. This is a big deal. So yeah, I want to introduce Kelly Lynch. Friend, I'm going to call you a friend, not just a social media friend, but a friend, because we interact quite a bit on TikTok. And Kelly is a distiller for Asbury Park Distilling. So Kelly, say hi. Introduce yourself.
Hello, everyone. Hello, another Bourbon Show.
Hi,
name's
I'm
Kelly.
another Bourbon Show. Hi.
Hello.
We ran out of like older white dudes with beards, so we had you on.
Yeah.
I do have a lot of flannels in my closet. If it would make you feel more comfortable,
That
I
actually
could
would make
put
me
one
feel more
on for
comfortable.
you.
Yeah.
That would be.
I like how a girl comes on the show and she's like, "If you guys are uncomfortable, I can put on flannel."
But tonight we are going to be drinking. She's joining us not to drink an Asbury Park distilling product, which would absolutely make sense. We're throwing things for a loop here, and she is going to be drinking some of this with us. Tonight we're going to be drinking some Midwinter's Night's Dram. This is Act 9, Scene 4. And this is, honest to God, probably the second worst tape job we've ever had. Like, this is actually better than some of the tape jobs Ryan has sent us. But fun story on this one. We have a friend who works for High West Distilling, and that individual found this bottle in the QC area. And it was in the QC area because the label was jacked up, so they couldn't put it in a case to send it out to sell it. And it was just sitting there. And our friend said, "Hey, can I grab that bottle?" And they were like, "Yeah, you can have it. Like, it's a perfect bottle. The label's messed up, and so we couldn't get it out on time." So he grabbed it and he goes, "Hey, Dan, I'm sending you a bottle of Midwinter's Night's Dram." I was like, "Sweet." So these two suckers paid for a bottle, and I got a free bottle. So we're going to be drinking this.
I just hope High West doesn't narrow it down who our friend is over there.
How could they?
I don't think they care.
Yeah, that's true. Well, clearly not. Look at that tape job.
Well, again, and throw on top of it here the fact that we've got 12 listeners. Do you think one of them happens to be high up within High West or Constellation, Ryan? Like, what are the chances there?
I don't know what else the motivation would be to listen to us, though, Dan, at the same time.
Yeah, that's true. One of them is just looking for reasons to get Ryan fired.
Yeah, almost happened once. So
two of the people listening are just state police from SIUE who are like, "I'm going to get that name off kid one day."
So a Midwinter's Night's Dram, this is their annual, very limited engagement, as they say. It's a blend of straight rye whiskeys finished in French oak port barrels. And we've had Act 8 on the show, but this is the first time we've had Act 9, correct?
Yeah, but the bottle I have is Scene 1 of Act 9.
Yeah, that's just different days.
Yeah.
It's just different bottling days. That's how they number things. But Kelly, you've never had Midwinter's Night's Dram, right?
No, I have not.
Have you ever had any High West product?
I've had the Rendezvous Rye, yeah.
You have? Okay. What'd you think of that?
I think it's good. I a bar I used to work at had it, and I was like, it wasn't a huge rye selection, but that was like one of the ones that I kind of recommended to people.
Okay. Well, I have it on good authority that they just barreled their Act 10 of Midwinter's Night's Dram. It just went into the barrel last week. I got a text with pictures of it, and it was a beautiful sight. But it's going to be trash because they said they couldn't barrel it like they would normally barrel it like two months ago. But they had some sort of an issue, so they couldn't barrel it on time. So this year's Act 10 is just going to be shit. So don't buy it, people.
That'll work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what do you say, Kelly? Do you have yours poured?
Yes.
What do you say we give it a sip?
Let's do it.
Yeah.
Cheers, everybody.
Cheers.
Cheers.
It's got a great nose to it. I think it has a lot of. It just smells like rye, honestly,
Yeah.
to me.
Kelly, what do you think?
Cool. That's really nice. It's a little hot, but this is like 100 proof.
98.6.
Okay. But
Yeah.
it's really good. It's like a lot of like, I now understand the name. It's a lot of those like Christmas pie flavors, like with a little bit of like fig and plum and like that sort of stuff. It's tasty. Christmas cake.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
still think Stephen, we didn't do a rating on the label because Kelly, normally we do a label rating, but this is the same label, exact label that we rated previously, except for the numbers are different down here. Is this still the highest rated label ever?
Yeah, I think the official, I think, because we've
Right.
talked about some other that like might get a 10 or something like that. But yeah, I think Midwinter Night's Dram is the 10, the only 10 we've had so far. And to me, I think that even when they jack up the label, like on that bottle, I think it just looks great. And it's one of the only labels that now that I have a bottle of this on my shelf, it's the only one that when I'm going by, I'll like look at again, just to look at, you know what I mean? Because I just think the picture itself is nice. The label just looks cool, the slight discoloration to it and everything. I think they just nailed it with it. And I think that the High West bottle itself is just perfectly fit with it too. It's like a perfect match. And the overall theme is cool. The fact that it tells you when it's released annually is cool in the name. Just a really clever design.
So that's like the Pine Barrens of all bottle labels, is what you're saying.
I've heard so many people that are like obsessed with The Sopranos, so I feel like it's not something you could just like put on and then like scroll through your phone, and then it's just like intimidating. There's just so much, like, you know what I mean? So it's one of those like I haven't intentionally not watched it. It's just like it's a commitment.
You can
Kelly-
start
I feel like-
intentionally not watching it now, though that you've met Ryan.
You could be like
Okay.
Steven and take some
That's fair.
sick kind of pride in it. My brother's like, you could play a song in The Sopranos, just we'll be in the car and he can tell you the exact episode, like season this, episode this. He's like, he's that invested. I'm not like that.
That's a lot.
That's a
Yeah,
lot.
it is.
But
Get
I've
a lot of
also watched
time.
Grey's Anatomy like 6 times all the way through. So like I really like should not be the judgment of what good television is.
Was that season 35 now?
I think they're at 19 or something like that.
My wife loves Grey's Anatomy.
I'm obsessed.
Yeah.
I love it.
If you're a doctor, wouldn't you be like, I'm not going to work at that hospital. Everybody dies. Like on the staff. How many doctors can you kill?
Or
Everyone
lot.
that has a contract renewal coming up. That's how many.
Yeah.
you guys watch ER back in the day?
I did.
Yeah, ER was crazy. That was one of those first shows that was just like, it started out and they were just like, they were probably like 8 seasons in. They were like, we've kind of fucking done everything with medicine. And so then they were just like, let's have like an active shooter comes into the hospital. Let's have a helicopter explodes on the roof of the hospital.
and then rips like cut someone's arm off.
Yeah.
Let's have a smallpox episode. Remember that one?
Yeah.
Let's have a doctor get stabbed in the back and then his girlfriend killed at the same time.
Did these all happen, or are you guys just?
We're referencing actual like big episodes, like well-known episodes.
And then in Grey's Anatomy, they just like they did all the same things. Like there was an active shooter, there was a bomb,
Oh, God.
like a live bomb in someone's stomach cavity. There was a plane crash. There was a ferry explosion. Like they did the same thing.
Jesus.
The only thing they never had like spin-off series based on characters on the show, I don't think. Like Grey's Anatomy
Oh,
has
yeah.
had like 2 or 3 spin-offs, right?
Private Practice and Station 19. Yeah.
Was that
You
was
watched all
Private
of those
Practice?
too?
Was that the Kate
Yes.
Walsh one?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. That's just she goes off and she lives in California with all these other people, and there's like all this other drama that happens there.
So Kelly, what do you like? So what else do you thinking about the Midwinter's Night's Dram? How you liking it?
It's really good. It's really, I don't think I've ever had anything like this.
Mm-hmm.
Although I'm not gonna say that I've tried the most whiskeys in the world. It's not gonna be.
That's a
Well, I like what you said about the fig. I pick up a lot of the fig in it as well, and I think that like cranberry as well is something that I pick up. I know that you said like basically any of those things you would have around like fall or winter holidays. That's kind of what I pick up too, and I think that the nose and flavor just has so much rye to it as well that it's not like that stuff gets lost um, in it. It's a very strong rye, I think, and then those flavors are just very on the side kind of thing, and it really complements it well.
No, I agree. I think the rye spice is like almost like the background, where a lot of the time it's right in your face, which is great.
Yeah.
this is one of those bottles that it really speaks to. Okay, so a trend in American whiskey seems to be like thumbing their nose or thinking poorly of blends and sourced whiskeys. And like this is one of those bottles that if you drink this and you don't know anything about what the bottle is, you're just gonna be like, holy shit, this is really good. And then you're like, oh wait, it's blended and some of it's sourced. And the master blender had more to do with the final taste of this than the master distiller did. Oh, interesting. Maybe you should shut the fuck up and just appreciate what you're drinking and not give a shit if it's sourced or if it's blended. Just drink to enjoy it. And if you do that, this bottle kills it. And I know Kelly and I are exactly on board with this entire topic. And Kelly takes it further than I do, but like she's really big on drink gin, drink vodka, drink other spirits, and I'm on board with that too. I just don't talk about it as much because I'm a whiskey guy. So
Yeah. I mean, like, not for nothing. I've been trying to, because now that I'm on TikTok and I like see people's reviews and people talking and sharing their opinions, like, yeah, I've been trying to figure out where all of it comes from. And I think there's a lot to know about whiskey, and I think there's a feeling of overwhelm that people get about it. And when they learn something, they stick to it. They're like, I know this thing about whiskey. And they kind of form their whole opinion about things about that. And I think it takes a lot to have a nuanced opinion. And yeah, that's all I'll say about that. I think it just takes someone who like knows a lot to have a nuanced opinion,
Yeah.
So
yeah.
and an
Well, we
open mind.
do a pretty shitty job around here. I'll say that much.
So Kelly, what's going on at Asbury Park these days?
Well, okay, so we just got our federal approval for a warehouse, so we can finally breathe, because we have been laying down barrels as much as we can, but they're taking up a lot of space. So hopefully we get to move those all over, and then we can do tours, which will be fun over the summer, hopefully. Fingers crossed. And then we're gearing up. We're gonna do our fourth release of our small batch bourbon. So we've got like 16 barrels to go through. Those are all like 2-ish years old, like between 2 and 3 years old. And hopefully we can make a blend out of that. Otherwise, we'll have to get creative and dip into some older barrels. But yeah, so we've been like kind of tasting through that every few days, which has been fun. yeah, besides that, not really much. We're gearing up for summer. Summertime is really busy in Asbury Park because it's the beach. So
Yeah. So is it just you and I forget his name? You've told me.
Bill Tambusi.
Yeah, Bill
Yeah.
Tambusi. Is it just you two still?
Yep. Well, we
Okay.
have one guy who helps us do all like the labeling of the bottles and the filling of all the like all of that stuff, the packaging, because that's really labor intensive. We haven't yet invested in like a real bottling line, so it's real labor intensive, real tedious. I watch a lot of Netflix trying to get through all that stuff.
So, but it's you and Bill coming up with the blend for batch 4, yes?
Yeah. So it's just the two of us coming up with that. And we've like invited some of our key accounts in to do it, but we kind of taste the day before and pretend like we're tasting for the first time with them because
Mhm.
like I mean, I don't think they're listening, but you never know.
Yeah.
We don't like to be influenced by other people. That's why. It has nothing to do with anyone's palate.
Well, and I would guess you also don't want to like taste it with them at like for the first time and be like, oh, this tastes like shit, right? Like this is just a bad blend.
Yeah,
Because you got
it's really nerve-wracking right now actually because we have like two barrels that I loved and the one we all agreed on and then the next one I thought was awesome. I thought it was a great blending barrel and the guy was like that's my least favorite of the three. So then like I secretly later like blended the two together and I was like, "See, like this was good." Like, you know
yeah.
what I mean? But you don't want to tell them that it's wrong because there's no wrong answers in bourbon, but there's wrong answers for what we're trying to accomplish. You know what I
Yes.
mean?
Yeah, that
You
makes
know,
sense.
the too many cooks, that sort of
Mhm.
thing. So,
So
um,
you said there's 16 barrels that you're tasting through?
something like that. That sounds about right. Yeah, there's three every Friday for the 5 Fridays in April. So 15, 16, something like that.
Okay.
But
And
yeah,
are you guys don't use 53-gallon barrels, correct? Or do you?
we've switched over to filling 53-gallon barrels, but our 2-year-old are still um, in 30s.
Okay.
So we're trying to go through all the 30s first because that will obviously over oak
Mhm.
faster than the 53s will. So we'll do as many of the 30s at 2 years old, and then we'll try and get as many of the 30s at 4 year old, and try and let the 53s sit for as long as possible because they can.
And they take
Which
longer.
is great.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. That's cool.
Yeah.
What's the estimated time frame for batch 4?
We're hoping to release it for Memorial Day weekend.
Oh wow.
So
So coming up pretty quick.
soon, yeah. So we have all the labels kind of like ready to go. We do batch and bottle number handwritten on so we can have everything kind of uh, pre-printed and ready to go. And we've set aside all the bottles that we think we're gonna need. It's tough because like you don't know what our losses are gonna be on barrels or
Yeah.
anything like that. But so we have it like set. So as soon as we get the blend right, we can just kind of like pull the trigger and get it ready to go. So we're hoping like the week before Memorial Day, I think is what we're aiming to do for release. And then we'd like to get it to our distributor earlier than that so that it can be available both online and in the tasting room at the same time. But we'll plans never go as we want them to go. So
Yeah.
I don't want to like make any promises. Yeah.
Well,
really-
go ahead.
I
Sorry,
was just
Steve.
gonna say I'm surprised that it's not, and I'm sure it's not uncommon, but I'm surprised it's not more common that distilleries, especially distilleries that are getting started, don't do something like a 2 year inside a smaller barrel. You know, I feel like it's super smart because they're able to get out product faster, and you also have less space that's required, like with smaller barrels. So
Yeah, I mean, I've heard both sides. I hear both sides of the argument on like, do you do it smaller? Do you do it in a larger barrel? That's my cat. I'm really sorry. Um,
Don't
I'm.
apologize. No need to.
Usually Dan's
He's a
dog's barking
garbage
half the
cat.
podcast.
He's like was raised in like a feral colony, and we like rescued him, but he still acts like a crazy creature.
Those are the best
Um,
cats.
he like takes his toys and like hides behind the couch and like growls for like 20 minutes. We're like, we're not trying to take it from you. You're good. Yeah. No, I've heard like the people argue against the 30-gallon barrel, and I hear where they're coming from. I think like if you're gonna age for long periods of time, it's definitely that like I would definitely go 53s, but it is smart to kind of go. I wouldn't go too much like we still have tons of 2-year-olds that are like still pretty grassy and like have a lot of those like young flavors that could definitely do with a little bit more maturity. So um yeah, I don't know why more people don't do it because you can get some great barrels out of it. I just teach their own, you know.
Well, it seems like it's either you have that option. I mean, because it's not, you just don't necessarily have a lot of options. And it's either to me that option or you source it and then the people that are sourcing it also get trashed on.
Yeah.
So it's like you
So we do
cannot be a
both.
new distillery.
We do both. I know it's so hard. People are gonna like try and judge you no matter what, and they're comparing you against the larger distilleries that have economy of scale and years of barrels and everything like that. So that's always hard to kind of work against. But like we do both. Like we started distilling bourbon and everyone was like, well, where's the bourbon? Like nobody understood the concept of it taking time. So we decided to source. But we wanted to make sure that that one was distinct from what we make, like that's our own. So we have like our double barrel bourbon is contracted from MGP. We finish it in our gin casks. So we do a barrel finish gin and then we finish our bourbon in our gin casks so that it's like not just straight blending of MGP, because I think if you were to go that source, like if you're going to go that route and you're going to like really lean into the source stuff and do blends and stuff like that, like I think that's a whole time commitment. So we were just like, all right, we'll finish it in our gin casks and we'll have a product that we can put out to people so that they know that we're bourbon distillers. I think that's kind of what people try to do when they source. And then we called it small batch bourbon to kind of make it separate. And that's the one that's like totally sourced from New Jersey. Like all the grain is from New Jersey. We distill that all in house and all that. So we did the smaller barrels and then we did the contract stuff. We're never going to blend the two together. I think there's a lot of ways to go about it. I don't know.
How is the red one coming along?
Oh, yeah.
So, and you got to
that
explain
one's
to our
really
listeners
my
and
baby.
Steven and Ryan
So I
what
will
I'm
fill you
talking
in.
about.
I'll fill you in. So I'm a big Taylor Swift fan. And I don't want to ride on her coattails or anything like that. This is to honor her. I was inspired by her Red album that she re-released in November. Now she owns the rights to it, and I
You
made a
know it.
whiskey.
You know it all too well.
I know it all too well. I made a whiskey, and it's the first one that I've designed the mash bill for. So I get to go through and figure out all like the temperature rests and like how much water to add and how much sugar we're gonna get, so we get the right conversions of everything. Like I got to do all the math on it, which is really cool. And it's red corn, bloody butcher corn. It's a red winter wheat, and there's a song on the album called Forever Winter, so I was like, yeah, that's perfect. And then 2 different kinds of barley. So we did a blonde, like a Matapeake, um, which is like a pale malt, but I called it a blonde malt because I think that works for blondie. And then and then like a red ale malt, like a malt you would use for red ale. So it's like caramel flavors and everything. And it came out great. We didn't have enough for one full 53-gallon barrel. So we're actually just did another brew of it 2 days ago, and we'll be distilling that next week. So yeah, I like it. I think it's really cool. The wheat makes it really like gives it a really good like body and mouthfeel to it, and it smells like pizza dough right now in the distillery at all times. It's amazing. So
So,
there's some
how
people that
long
are
do you think you're going to age it?
I don't know. It's going in an ex-bourbon barrel. So it's not technically going to be like I think we're going to have to do some like clever distilled spirit specialty stuff with it because it won't be a new first oak, but I just feel like right now where it's at, it's kind of like it's already showing some kind of like nuanced flavors. I don't want to get it over oaked. I want to give it time to really do what it needs to do, because Taylor never rushes her art. No, but
I feel like you're
I
doing the
don't know.
hard sell for Taylor Swift on here, and you're like, we'll talk about Asbury Park in a minute, okay?
Yeah, I don't know. So it's just as long as it needs to be. I'll keep intermittently checking on it, and I don't want to say it's going to be ready at a certain time and then have everyone be like, when is it going to be here? And I'll be like, it's not ready yet.
No, I wasn't looking for a date, but I was just wondering if you were thinking 3 years, 6 years. I don't know.
I don't know.
When it's ready, it's ready.
When it's ready, I know it'll go into the barrel in about a week, and then I don't know
Okay.
from there.
But it
I'm
is
gonna
going in a
play it.
53-gallon barrel.
It's going in a 53-gallon ex bourbon barrel,
Okay.
and I'm gonna get a little speaker and play it the all too well 10-minute version and see if maybe it cries or matures or whatever. I don't know.
And then next spring, Fred Minnick is going to see if he sees a shadow or not, and then maybe it'll come out.
With a stupid, what's that thing called again?
An
Dan?
ascot.
Oh, God. Like, why? Why would anyone do that?
Yeah.
Wear an ascot?
Yes.
I don't know. It's a really strange thing to question.
I feel like he dresses as if he wants to one day when they make like a Guess Who board game for bourbon. He's like, I want to make sure I'm one of the guys. Is my person wearing an ascot?
Yeah.
Fred Minnick again.
Okay, so what do you say we go ahead and give official ratings to a Midwinter's Night's Dram, since we don't think that has ever happened before, but we're not certain.
Let's do it.
Feel good?
Okay.
Yep.
All right. Stephen, I want to hear yours first.
Okay. So the first time I had Midwinter Night's Dram was during the blind episode. And
Or Blind Rice.
Yes. And I would say that at the time, I didn't like it very much, and I would still not recommend it in conjunction with doing a blind with a bunch of heavy hitters, because I think it's a really, it just doesn't fit in well whenever you have it next to like barrel seatgrass, for instance. It's very different than what I expected it to be, and in a lot of ways, it's like a quintessential rye to me, and that was unexpected based on how hyped the bottle had been up to that point for me. So it was less about the bottle itself. It was more about what I had it with and what I had preconceived notions about it. But I think just having it on its own now several times, I have actually really fully experienced it. I know what you're getting with the bottle, and it's grown on me a lot. However, I still don't put it in my highest tier, my like upper echelon of whiskeys, just because I think that it can be a little acidic and tart sometimes, and I don't necessarily look for that every time I reach for a whiskey. So I'm just going to give it an 8.4, which I think is still a really good score, but I think that it's too hit or miss for me, depending on the night. I couldn't drink it all the time. I like it a lot. It's almost like the Weeder with Spirits of French Lick. It's just, I like it a lot for different reasons, but I just couldn't pull it out every night and be in the mood to drink it, just because it feels like such a different beast. And I really like the time of year that it comes out. I think the time of year it comes out is the time I would drink it the most, but every other time of the year, I think it gets a slightly lower score. So if you were asking me this in December, I might say it was an 8.9 or something. But as it stands right now, heading into summer, I would say 8.4. Still a great score.
Okay. Ryan, do you want to go next, or do you want me to go next?
I can go next. I think the proof is perfect for what it is. I think if it was, especially with, I get a lot of rye out of it, and Dan, you've kind of turned me onto those in the past few years, or the past year or two. I feel like if the proof was a little higher, it might turn me away more. I think it's right in the wheelhouse. And we talked about the plum and the fig. I also get a little cherry and vanilla and cinnamon. It all just mixes together well, and it's got a beautiful color. I see what you're saying, Stephen. Like when it comes out, This is December, January, February type whiskey. Warms you up really inside. And I like the hug. It's not overwhelming. So I'm going to go an 8.7. Considering how, I thought it was spicier than you guys thought it was. And usually I go for those more decadent type whiskeys, or like the Angel's Envy rye, which is very decadent for a rye. But this is right up there with that. It's very good.
Okay. So Kelly, if you don't mind, I'll go next and then we'll save the guest for last. You good with that? Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go with an 8.9. And a lot of my 8.9 is much the same as Steven's reasoning for an 8.4, but it's a different perspective. So like Steven, you mentioned that you kind of like knocked a little bit because you can't drink it every night. I don't want to drink a 9.0, an 8.9, a 9.5 every single night. 9.5s, 8.9s, those to me are special occasion or specific types, like specific mood types of liquors. And every night drink is a 6.0 just because it's meh across the board.
Readily available.
It's not even about being readily available. Just like I'm always, it's always an okay pour, but it's never a, oh, I can't wait to drink this tonight pour, right? That's the reason I bump it up to an 8.9, is because this is something that when I'm in the mood for something that's really complex, that I can pick apart and I can focus in on all of the different characteristics that it provides. Now I want to have that 8.9 because my brain's kind of ready for it. And for me, like an everyday pour is Maker's 46. I can always drink that because it's not going to overburden my senses, but it's going to pick my interest a little bit. So give me some Maker's Mark 46. So yeah, I mean, all of the characteristics that Ryan and Steven, you both picked out, yep, they're there. It's a fantastic pour, but is it an everyday pour? No. And it's not supposed to be. It's a fucking $100 bottle.
I love this whiskey. It's one of probably one of the best American whiskeys I've had, because I can't really put it in the same column as everything else. But I really, really like this. I think it doesn't show the same, I'm used to drinking a lot of young stuff because of work, right? Where we have young barrels, and it doesn't drink very young. It drinks mature, and it seems like it's done its time in the barrel for sure. A lot of the things I like about it are like the red fruit flavors, like that fig and the plum and the that's like sits right at the middle of the palate and right on the nose. I really like all of that. However, I think a lot of that probably comes from the port barrel, and I don't necessarily know if that comes from the whiskey itself. So I have a hard time saying that not that they are two separate things, right? Because now they are one. But I would say this is probably like an 8.5 for me, I guess. I don't know if that sits well with what I'm saying about it, but the final product drinks really, really, really well. And I think that's the important thing.
Another bourbon show. Another bourbon show. Another bourbon show.
I haven't started exam tomorrow.
Oh,
What's it on?
Statistics. So it's not really that hard.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say, if you need help, I'm pretty
it's so
goddamn good
perfect, Kelly. It's so perfect that you said it's not that hard right after saying statistics, by the way. 'Cause
Why?
That's Dan's thing.
Wait, really?
I'm a research project manager, so It's all about
Okay.
statistics, calculating standard deviations, and
It would have only been more perfect if you were like, "Oh, it's just it's for fucking morons."
My first instinct was to be like, it's not like it's hard math, but like,